next team I think is Lucknow Super Giants. Right?
Cool.
I think it has to be Lucknow
LAC
Super
finished
Giants.
third. Yeah. Hmm.
Now, Dan, what do you make of their auction? Because uh, surprisingly, or maybe not so surprising, uh, but they went for someone like Amit Mishra, uh, maybe as a backup spinner or a backup wrist spinner, and they got someone like Daniel Sams. And what was surprising to me was that they chose to retain someone like Kyle Myers over Evan Lewis and Holder.
Yeah.
And they've gone for one bowler which you actually rate quite a lot, who's Naveen ul Haq.
Mm.
So what do you make of their auction?
Yeah. I think they've kind of covered a bit of the gaps that they had last year. Actually, I certainly don't see it as a particularly bad auction for them. Look, I think Paran is grossly overpriced, but maybe that's the market right now. I think the T10 earned him a lot of money. Basically, playing so well in T10 earned him a lot of money. Um, Last year, LSG had big problems with batting intent, particularly in the power play. So, just any players who can reinforce that would be beneficial. I don't see Param batting that much in the power play, but it'll certainly improve on the intent side of things. And I also think that the acquisitions of Daniel Sams and Romario Shepherd, I don't think they'll play together, but one of them might play. Helps with their sort of death hitting as well a little bit too. So you can see why they've gone down those roads. What kind of makes a little bit of sense. I think they needed an overseas all rounder, so they picked up two. So that again, Shepherd's probably more of the bowling strong variety. Sam's more of a batting strong variety. I think that they ideally they needed a domestic batter, but they didn't really pick up anyone of proven quality. With the Amit Mishra pickup, is that maybe a nod to the impact substitution? The guys like him and Pash Chawla, veteran spinners being picked up that's something that teams are thinking about a little bit. And they also picked up Purat Mankad as well, who we've spoken about already. They can structure up a little bit differently with their overseas should they wish to do so. Naveen made a lot of sense to me for them to pick up. I think they needed the extra overseas pacer. Look, I know a lot about Naveen. He's a great guy, a very very humble man who wants to be the best bowler in cricket. Basically, he's just very very driven to achieve success, and he's a lot of people now view him as a kind of slower ball merchant, but he's a lot more than that. And I think maybe that's how he started out because he had so many varieties of slower balls. He got that reputation, but now I'd say over the last year he's probably put 5 kph on, and the difference between his stock ball and his slow ball is now quite a bit different. So he's got more of an element of surprise than he did have in 2021 when we first picked him up in England. And the good thing with him as well is that, I mean, I've never met a bowler who's so intelligent as him in terms of opposition batters and their tendencies and field positions and stuff like that. I mean, the guy's got like a photographic of every batter that he's ever bowled against. So, like, for me, this $60,000, no brainer, absolute no brainer, and it's still just mind that he wasn't put by Afghanistan in the World Cup until right near the end. It was very very strange. So I think I'm really excited to see how he gets on. Will he play? I don't know. I think maybe that's going to be a conducive a little bit on depending on Mark Wood's fitness. We've seen with Mark Wood being bought by various teams over the years, and then he hasn't been able to fulfil those commitments for various reasons. So that's gonna potentially change a lot as well. And then they also picked up J. Adkat as well, which was I thought was going to go for a lot more money after sort of more of a high profile domestic season. But I think maybe teams were a little bit fearful based on the Ned Cats returns, say in IPLs of previous years.
Mm.
Dan, one question before we take. Okay, let's take this question before we come to my question.
Yeah, Dan. So Dylan Vibes asks why LSG preferred Pooran over Stokes when they had 23 crores.
Okay, my answer to that would be that they're completely different types of player. So with Puran, you've got a wicket keeper, left-hander, obviously both left-handers, but Puran is like a spin hitting genius, basically, like easily one of the best players of spin in the world. Stokes isn't that player. Obviously, Stokes offers a bowling option, but with, in my view, far less ability with the bat in T20 cricket. And so they're very, very different types of players, really. I don't think that LSG needed Stokes as much when they've already got Stoinis. They've already got, even though it was a bit of a curious retention, they've got Carl Mayers, they've got Sams, they've got Romario Shepherd now, they've got Prerak. They don't need Ben Stokes. This is probably one franchise that he just doesn't really make any sense for. So yeah, I can understand LSG's mentality there with picking up Puran. But like I say, ridiculous price, but maybe that's the market. These mini auctions is quite incredible.
Dan, last season, LSG had the most expensive economy rate, 11.14 in the last 5 overs, and even in the power play, there they had the second most expensive economy rate. Uh,
Yes.
how do they fix that? Because I thought Avesh didn't really have the kind of season that he should have had. Uh, do you think if Mark would plays the entire season, maybe that can be corrected?
Either him or Naveen would be a big benefit there. So at Leicester, when I was working at Leicester, where we had Naveen, his nickname was the Banker because he would always give us two banker overs at the death, and yeah, I think he would really improve their death bowling as well. I look at this and I think that I don't see Mark Wood as a death bowler though. So this is a nod to those problems that perhaps haven't been solved. Avesh Khan, as you say, was disappointing last year. I rated him really highly prior to the auction, and I thought he would go for a lot, and he did. Look, let's hopefully for them he can get back to his best levels. But yeah, if death bowling wise is certainly a question mark. I think for LSG moving forward, unless they pick the right combos, like I say, like a Naveen or something, because they can go with like a Sams, but Sams bowls death a lot, but he's very, very expensive at the death. His boundary is not good at all. So they've got players who can bowl the face, but are mediocre performers in that phase. And so yeah, that's probably a red flag going into the tournament, I think.
I think they have a couple of more problems because Mohsin Khan hasn't played a single professional or
Yep.
competitive game since the eliminator. He's been out with injury since then. And then I think I think Bishnoi might just try and be a traditional leggy, which he isn't. Because last season he had an economy rate of 8.19, and he averaged nearly 30. So I hope that they don't try and mess so much or try and tinker so much with the way and the normal trajectory of someone like Bishnoi, because I think if they try and make him into uh, a traditional spinner, which I think they might try, and when you are a 20-year-old, you're quite impressionable as well. I think that might just backfire quite badly for them.
Yeah. No, I rate Bishnoi highly. I just want to see him. You don't mess with how his game plan broke as he broke through when he was playing for PBKs early. He was fantastic. There's no need to change that. The other question that I look at with LSG is with the batting a little bit. We know that KL Rahul is polarizes opinion, shall we say, as an opener with his approach. Until recently, we haven't seen Deepak Huda really being a team merchant. Ayash Badoni had a low boundary percentage last season. And Pandya's boundary percentage is going downhill as well. Is that a problem?
I think their bigger problem will be to get the entry points correct, because they really did not utilize someone like Marcus Stoinis with the bat. Uh, I think out of the 100, he faced only 110 balls in the season last time, and I think out of the 110 balls, 82 of them probably came in the last 5 overs. So I think they need to utilize that better. And obviously with KL Rahul, they need a lot more in the power play. His strike rate in the power play has progressively come down from let me just get the numbers. It was it was 124.6 in 2020, it was 115 in 2021, and it was 103.6 last season. And the worst part is that his average also came down in the power play. It was 33.8, and he had a pretty poor record while batting second. So they definitely need to get a lot more from him with the bat.
Yeah, he's got to find a way of doing things a lot differently.
And I think this wicket preservation mindset is what led to them underutilizing some of the hitters they had last season. I mean,
Yep.
even when they did not face a lot of balls, LSG did end up having the highest run rate in the death overs. So maybe I mean the case of KL Rahul is now it's pretty obvious to everyone except maybe KL Rahul himself.